Westmoreland. I am a consultant with GSN Immigration and I am an OISC registered level 3 advisor. In today's video I'm going to discuss indefinite leave to remain or settlement based on 10 years continuous lawful residence. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and click on the bell icon so that you can continue to watch this fascinating video about UK visa and immigration advice. Now, you may have heard me talking about a 10-year route to settlement via Appendix FM and a partner route. This is something completely different. With partner visas, you get a 5-year route and a 10-year route to settlement. This is something completely different. This is nothing to do particularly with partner visas. This can be really to do with any kind of visa. The 10-year route to settlement based on 10 years continuous lawful residence can be a route based on any kind of visa, any combination of visa, any kind of lawful residence. This includes, for example, visitor visa, leave under European free movement law, anything legal. You must have got 10 years continuous lawful residence. The word continuous doesn't mean quite what it sounds as though it might mean. Generally speaking, it's a very, very good idea if a person who wants to rely on this route has applied for their new visa before their previous visa expires. However, there is a bit of leeway about this. This is a bit of a small gap between some visas. Somebody applied a bit late. It may be that they can get away with it, and it may be that they are deemed to have done 10 years continuous lawful residence. So that's what it is. 10 years spent on any kind of visa, any combination of visas, anything that's lawful. There is a mathematical rule. Over that 10 years, you mustn't have spent, I can give a very precise figure for this, you mustn't have spent more than 548 days outside the UK in 5 years. The reason that this figure of 540 days came about was that the original Home Office rule or policy said that you mustn't have spent more than 18 months. The courts decided that 18 months was a bit too vague. The proper figure is actually 548 days. So if you spent more than 548 days outside the UK in the last 10 years, your application may be weak and it could be refused. There are a few other things you have to satisfy. As visas go, it's fairly simple. You have to satisfy English language test, which you may have satisfied already anyway, and you have to satisfy the life in the UK test as well, as indeed with almost every kind of settlement application. You mustn't have any bad character issues. If you've got any criminal convictions, I think your application is going to be refused and it's probably not worth making it. The rule about bad character criminal convictions is very strict for this application. Processing times are similar to settlement applications generally, I would say. Average processing time, probably about 3 or 4 months, could be longer in some cases. There are possibilities of getting your application expedited, but of course, as with most things in life, you pay a bit extra because there's no such thing as a free lunch. The fee is the same as for other types of settlement applications, a fairly impressive £2,389, and there's the biometric fee of £19.20. But the good news about this is that there's no IHF health surcharge fee, so as things go, it's probably not too bad. What are the advantages of settlement obtained under the 10-year continuous lawful residence route? Well, pretty similar to other kinds of settlement. You're allowed to live in the UK for as long as you like. You're allowed to work in any way, anything legal, without restriction. You're allowed to study if you're that way inclined. You're allowed to apply for benefits for which you qualify. Disadvantage, I said that you're allowed to stay, it's true. You're allowed to leave. You may not be allowed to come back. Now, if this is important to you, you're not able to vote in general elections unless you happen to be a Commonwealth citizen, in which case you can. Even worse, you're not allowed to stand for Parliament as an MP, but again, unless you're a Commonwealth citizen, in which case you can.
Great. It sounds so easy. Is it really true?
Well, the basic answer to this question is yes. I mean, I told you some restrictions and limitations, but it is. Let me tell you something. This is an old, long-standing immigration law. It's been there for years and years and years. It's never been turned into one of these incredibly complicated 20 or 30-page immigration rules. It's a short rule that you can fit into, well, fits into probably less than one page. As long as you meet those requirements that I stated, it is true. It really is that easy.
Awesome. Perfect. I've got a few questions for you on this route that we have been asked. And a gentleman has asked that he has overstayed one of his visa previously. Will that overstay affect his indefinite leave to remain application under long residence?
That's a good question. Now, you say that he had overstayed, but presumably his next visa must have been granted. Otherwise, he wouldn't be here asking that question. The way that the law works, if the Home Office have granted the new visa application and they're deemed to have forgiven the period of overstaying, it won't affect his application.
Perfect. Brilliant. Our next question is about a gentleman who's in the UK for about 15 years, lawfully resident. How does this route work for him?
Well, quite simply, really, if he makes the application, it will be based on the last 10 years of lawful residence. The period that finishes now. So let's say he had a weak situation in the first 5 years, it wouldn't matter because it's the last 10 years that is the period in question.
Wow, that's brilliant. Good to know that. You provided some information about meeting the English language requirement for settlement. We have a question on that. A client has a master degree from Malaysia.
Yes.
And she wants to find out if that will help her to meet the English language requirement.
I have one very strong question I'd like to ask you. Was it taught in English by any chance?
That's correct.
Yes. Because if it wasn't, it's not really going to help. Yes, if it's a degree course taught in English in a foreign country and it is certified by NARIC as being of a similar standard to a British degree, and NARIC can provide a letter to that effect. If so, then that will be a method of passing the English language requirement.
Perfect, brilliant. Thank you so much for elaborating so much on the long residence route to settlement. I'm sure the viewers will find this video very useful, and the questions that you have answered will also help them plan their application in the best way possible.
You're very welcome.
Lovely. We would love to see you in our next vlog, and until then, take care and bye-bye.
Bye-bye.